when you finally do something, you're like, well, it's not that hard, but I just spent like half my life working on it. So you're
Yeah,
sort of like, oh, maybe it is hard. What
definitely.
so how many sessions did you put on the boulder total?
I would probably say between 20 and 25.
This is Climbing Gold. Can you just break down the dark side for us? Like what
Yeah.
is it?
So the dark side's on the same boulder as the Force and Thriller.
Which are two of the
And
most iconic boulders in Yosemite.
yeah, right in Camp 4. Super flat landing, big boulder. It starts on a rail on the left side of the boulder, and you do two easier moves into like a crimp crux move. And so you lock off on a crimp. It's like maybe a quarter or half pad, pretty sharp. You lock off on that crimp and you get right hand on the sloper rail. And then you do maybe 10 tiny moves on the sloper rail. And then you do a crimpy outro. And then you finish on the same place as the force. So it kind of breaks into three sections: the crimp section, the sloper section, and then the outro crimps.
And so is it 15 or 20 moves total?
Yeah, probably. Maybe closer to 20.
And so what makes it V16?
Um,
I mean, I'm asking like actually asking because it's so heinous. Like if you just look at it, you're like, well, that doesn't go. And I mean, and I've been climbing Yosemite long enough to remember that as a long-standing open project. Is like, oh, somebody chalked those slopers. What a joke! Like it looks completely impossible. And
yeah.
certainly when you compare it to the Force or Thriller, which are right next to it and are super famous, and everybody climbs those all the time. When you look to the left and you look at the dark side, you're like, well, that's in a totally different category. It's like the holds are seemingly non-existent. Everything about it is just insane looking.
hmm
But
Yeah, I think what makes it V16 is probably just how subtle it is. Um, like I think the way that I think about it, it's like doing Jade, which is like a really test piece, crimpy one move V14. It's like doing Jade into a really low probability friction dependent sloper exit.
and how hard's the slope exit?
It's probably pretty hard. It's really hard to grade by itself. If I had to give it a grade, I'd give it V14 probably. From like the start of the sloper to topping out the boulder. And it's a little bit weird because by the end of my time on the dark side, when I was giving it goes from the bottom, I could do the sloper section almost every time that I pulled on. But it took me like 20 sessions to get to that point where I had it on lock. And so it's kind of one of those bouldering grades where all of the work that goes into doing the boulder feels like it factors pretty heavily into the grade. And then actually climbing it from start to finish doesn't feel physically that hard.
Well, that's a classic climbing experience that when you finally do something, you're like, well, it's not that hard, but I just spent like half my life working on it. So you're
Yeah,
sort of like, oh, maybe it is hard. What so
definitely.
so how many sessions did you put on the boulder total?
I would probably say between 20 and 25. There was a few sessions where I like showed up and either the sloper felt so bad that it was not worth trying, or like I had this kind of bad shoulder tendonitis at the end. So there's a few sessions I would like show up and warm up and realize my shoulder hurt too much. So 20 to 25 probably.
Did you ultimately do it with the shoulder hurting? You just like found your day?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
That's a good effort. That's always tough when you're like threading the needle on injury stuff. When you're like, oh, my
Yeah.
body is just like struggling.
Yeah, my body was definitely ready to finish up the season.
Yeah, yeah. And so you just did that this season, right? When did you send?
End of March 2025. So
Oh, cool. And so
a couple months ago.
did you feel the pressure of like it's getting hot and the season's winding down?
Definitely. Yeah. The day that I did it, it was like probably 60 degrees in Camp 4, which is pretty warm. Or that's kind of like the end of the bouldering season is when it's buggy and warm and sunny in Camp 4. Um, yeah. Most of my sessions in Camp 4 is probably in the 40s.
Wow. Did I mean, but the 60-degree temps, did that help or did that hurt?
I
Because you
think
never
it
know with some of that
helped.
stuff. Because I mean, sometimes you don't numb out on the crimps and you feel like a
Yeah.
little tackier on the slope. Like, yeah.
Yeah, every time that I'd fallen, like every time that I'd gotten through the sloper previously, so I fell twice in the outro crimps,
Oh
and it was
wow.
because I was numb. So I think it probably did help.